Edition.
This morning on the KDPG Sunday Edition, a new look at the campaign for the Democratic presidential nomination as it effectively becomes a two-man race. But first, a look back at a history-making mayor. We're talking with the biographer of the late Sophie Masloff about her life, her achievements, and her legacy. Good morning. Welcome to the KDPG Sunday Edition. I'm Ken Rice. She was Pittsburgh's first Jewish mayor, first woman to be mayor, and now a new book chronicles the achievements of Sophie Masloff that may have been overlooked. It's a biography called Sophie, the Incomparable Mayor Masloff. And we are fortunate this morning to be able to talk with the author, Dr. Barbara Burston, a historian who teaches at Pitt and Carnegie Mellon. She's also written books about the history of the Jewish community in Pittsburgh. Dr. Burston, thank you so much for joining us. Here's the book. Here's the book. It is available now at sophiemasloff.com and the Heinz History Center, and it was one of the
Frick.
And the Frick. Okay, why did you want to write a book about Sophie Masloff?
You know what? Sophie was a fascinating character. Many of us who were in Pittsburgh at that time knew it. And I felt that she had been totally underestimated and unappreciated. When I suggested this book to friends and family, I was not particularly encouraged. They said, well, you know, how interesting could it be? And I thought, this has to be a story that really would be interesting, considering the fact that she was the first Jewish mayor and the first woman mayor, as you said. And I started researching it. I had known Sophie before. I had actually interviewed her for a former book. She had sworn me in when I was on the Human Relations Commission. I knew her. I had been in her apartment, but I never dreamed that I'd be writing a biography of her. But then when I started really getting serious about this, I loved doing this because I felt that Sophie needed to have her story told. There's
a caricature of Sophie that I think we all still have in our minds, the bouffant, the screechy voice, the grandmotherly affect.
And Mayor Poppins.
Right, as Tim Menees.
Tim Menees did.
In the Post-Gazette. So how did that affect the reality of her accomplishments? I think it tended to have people underestimate her.
Absolutely, absolutely, because she was not the model of the leader, the politician that we look to. I mean, even look at today, what we have in terms of our presidential candidates. And I think as a woman, that was an additional and probably the most difficult challenge that she faced. She was not only, you know, a grandma. She loved being a grandma, and she made no bones about it. She was 70 years old when she became mayor. But being a woman was really the most difficult challenge she faced, and she would talk about that.
So there was sexism in
Absolutely.
Pittsburgh.
She always said it was a man's world, and she, as a woman, had to deal with a lot of derision, a lot of devaluation, just people who really didn't appreciate what she was doing. And of course, the biggest example of that was her proposal to establish a baseball field, Clementi Park, on the north side. She always said that if she had been a man, she wouldn't have been so criticized for that proposal. But since it came from a woman, it was treated very differently.
Interesting. So that was hard. She was a pioneer in that she was the first Jewish mayor, the first female mayor. Being female was the greater hurdle.
Absolutely.
And was it a hurdle when she was on council? Was it a hurdle when she was working along with her friend and ally, Rita Wilson Cain, for all those years?
Well, Rita Wilson Cain certainly helped kind of lead the way for Sophie. When she was on council, her biggest problem was another woman, Michelle Madoff.
People used to confuse the two because
and
of their
people
names,
confused Madoff and Masloff, and one thought they were voting for the other, that kind of thing. But Sophie really was a women's liber, but not in the style of Michelle Madoff. She felt that yelling and being brash and so forth was not the way to get ahead. And so she had a lot of problems with Michelle. And she once told one of her staff members that if he sees Michelle coming down the hallway to her office, he should warn Sophie, and she would sneak out the back door so she wouldn't have to deal with Michelle.
I read where you discussed how Sophie inherited and kept on some of the aides who had worked for her predecessor, Mayor Caligiuri. When they worked for Mayor Caligiuri, they were his aides, they were his assistants. But when they became Sophie's staff, Now they were referred to as her handlers.
Absolutely.
People like Joe Mystic and Jim Turner and Ben Halar, et cetera. Was that?
Absolutely. And again, that's another example of how, as a woman, they didn't think that Sophie had the the intelligence, the knowledge to really lead the city, that she was really listening to her staff. And that's simply, you ask her staff, and I did ask the staff, I did more than 70 interviews, they said that Sophie really, that's why they stayed with her, because she listened to them, she appreciated their input, and then she made the decision.
Was there an advantage to being underestimated for her? And people see a very aggressive political figure coming. When when you have a different approach, maybe you can be more effective.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I don't know if that was an advantage. Certainly historians who wrote at the time didn't give her very much credit. They go from Caligiuri to Murphy, and Sophie is merely seen as a footnote.
Okay,
and
so
that was not the case.
Well, let's talk about that, because you mentioned the ballpark. It was not well received at the time, but here we are with PNC Park, widely celebrated as one of the best ballparks in the country. She cut the wage tax. She did not want to see this continuing out-migration of our young people.
Which was a big deal.
She was instrumental in the passage of the RAD tax. In your opinion, what is the main thing she should be remembered for in terms of accomplishments in office?
Well, we were just talking with some of the people who worked with her. The RAD proposal was the biggest thing. Without Sophie Masloff leading the charge, it's really problematic whether we would even have that, and I don't think people appreciate that. The RAD district, really, I think the latest is taken in something like over $100 million, and it has sustained and supported regional assets and local assets, artistic, cultural, even sporting venues that would not have been able to survive without this county tax. Sophie had to basically convince because it's a very complicated process, you have to convince the state first to allow the county to levy the tax. Sophie did that, and her staff spent, Jim Turner, who was her chief administrative assistant, he spent more than 2 years, 2 to 3 years, really creating the momentum and the whole infrastructure to make this happen. And it's interesting because Allegheny County has benefited enormously from the RAD district, and Sophie knew that she would not be recognized for that contribution because it didn't go into effect until 1994, and Sophie was out of office by then. But she realized that this was best for the city, and she was going to do it.
Well, mindsets had to be changed. Pittsburgh had come down from 600,000 plus to 300,000 and change. And the region, if they wanted to have this dynamic center, minds had to be changed regionally, that the region needed to kick in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So remind us of what Pittsburgh was like in 1988 when Sophie found herself suddenly replacing her friend, Dick Caligiuri.
Well, understand that the steel mills have collapsed. We've lost half our population. Pittsburgh was described as being on the precipice of an economic crisis. Other cities around the country were going bankrupt. Federal funds had been cut, federal grants to the city, state grants to the city. We were really, on the verge of a real economic problem, as I said. And so Sophie was determined to keep the books balanced, to have Pittsburgh not fall into debt, and she did. And of course, we were supporting these regional assets, the zoo, the aviary, and the Phipps Conservatory, and they were regional assets that were visited by most people from out of the county, and yet the city was the only government that was supporting these institutions, and Sophie said this can't be. So she started to push for a privatization, and then ultimately this regional asset district tax.
A couple of things come to mind. I was brand new in Pittsburgh in 1988. I came from the Midwest where the streets were grids, and I arrived in Pittsburgh where not only is there no logic to the layout of the streets, but there were very few street signs.
Right.
And then Sophie Masloff came into office, and all of a sudden these blue street signs that we all take for granted, they started going up, and she started cleaning up neighborhoods. She had her cleanup crew.
That's the woman in her.
Those were very, okay, but these were very tangible improvements that she started making right away in a city that still was, struggling in many others.
Right.
There was a there's the broken windows theory, which I won't go into, but I think she understood part of that. We needed to feel good about our city.
Right.
And not sort of wallow in the depression of the 1980s. We just have about a minute left. What should her legacy be? What do you think the main thing that has been forgotten or perhaps never understood about Sophie that you
I
hope
think
is...
she was an inspirational character. She came from virtually nothing. She had nothing going for her. She had no money. She had no pedigree. She wasn't able to get a college education. She really had no resources, and yet she was able to overcome adversity. And of course, she's a female in a man's world. She's able to overcome adversity and really make something of herself and never give up. She becomes mayor at 70. She doesn't give up. She has determination. And to me, she's an inspiration to everybody, and especially to women.
Once again, the book is called Sophie, the Incomparable Mayor Masloff, written by Dr. Barbara Burston. It's available now at sophiemasloff.com and at the Heinz History Center and the Frick Museum. Dr. Burston, thank you so much. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
All right, we will take a break. When we come back, a look at the big changes in the race for president and the role that Pennsylvania could end up playing when the KDPG Sunday edition continues.